So let's look at page 4. So they want us, let's minimize this so you can see and get a bigger picture. So I want to match these four polynomial functions. I want to match them to a graph. Well, all the graphs aren't going to be used. So I just wanted to make sure nobody was confused by that. So we do the same thing that we just did. We think about the leading coefficient and the sign, and then we think about the degree, right? So let's maybe draw our little chart somewhere on here so we can kind of make some sense of it. Let's see if the degree is odd. So degree is odd and the leading coefficient is positive, right? Then I've got down and up. If the leading coefficient is negative, I've got up, then down. If the degree is even and my leading coefficient is positive, then I start up and I end up. My leading coefficient is negative, start down and then go down. So let's start with number 1. What's the leading coefficient sign? It's positive. And what's the degree? It's even. So even degree, and the LC is positive. So that means when x is at negative infinity, it's coming from the top. You know, y is positive infinity. And then when x is positive infinity, y is positive infinity. Well, there's only one graph that looks like that, A. See? It looks like this. Is everybody following what I'm talking about? Is everybody following what I'm talking about? Okay. So then that's A. So now let's look at number 2. So what's the degree for number 2? So we got an odd degree. And what's the leading coefficient sign? Negative. So according to this, when I got an odd degree and the coefficient is negative, when x is in negative infinity, y is positive infinity. When x is positive infinity, y is negative infinity. So it starts up and then goes down. Hello. He's not here. No problem. Okay. So anyway, so it starts up and then ends down. So I look at these graphs. I need one that starts up and goes down. B starts up and ends down, right? So that's B. So then what about number 3? What is the degree? That is an even degree. And then what is the sign of the leading coefficient? It's negative. So even and negative, I start down and end down. So I look for which ones start down and end down. Well, I got 2. Start down and end down. Which one of these do you think it is? It's going to be E. Start down and end down. And then last but not least, what about number 4? What's the degree? So we got an odd degree, and what is the sign of the leading coefficient? It's positive. So odd degree and positive says I go down, when x is at negative infinity, Y is at negative infinity. And then when x is positive infinity, y is positive infinity. So it starts down and goes up. I got two. I got this one and I got this one. So how would I determine which one of these it is? Exactly, the zeros. So what's the zero on or zeros on this function? Zero. That means that my graph crosses 0, 0, and that's C, because my graph crosses the x-axis right there, 0, 0. Just so we're clear, for number 3, it was something similar. I think of what are my zeros for this, and my zeros are 0 and 4. See, this one doesn't look like 0 and 4, so that's why I knew it wasn't F. I knew it was E. So then 4 is what? C. So anybody got any questions on this? The only thing I might suggest is that you know how to get this in standard form, because this might be mixed up. Like for B, this might be mixed up, and you might look at it, and your function might say 3x minus 2x cubed plus 1, and you need to make sure it's in standard form, that you just don't grab the first coefficient you see, because it might not be the leading coefficient. Does everybody understand what I just said? So you might want to remember that. All right? All right. So we can end that.